You should know that the Lord has big plans for him.
In Puerto Lobos. Stay here for a while. Mexico with Daniel. God or you? Oh, we can just call her on her. Welcome back to Life is Strange 2. Last time we played, we found out that our brother is in an interesting religious situation. That he has been brought to a city, town, where religion is a very important part of it. And I say religion, but I mean like fundamental religion, religious beliefs. And they use him, they see our brother as this angel. Which is not true, but that's their perception of him. Our brother seems to be acting differently, like body language wise. He's not the same kind of like defiant kid that we once knew. There's so much here. There's just so much. So, having said that, let's just dive right back into this. Church just got out.
Daniel, you're the living proof of their faith. And mine. I know you understand.
I mean... Sean?
Oh my.
Sean!
I do not... How do I say this? I am not a fan already of this religious situation, all things considered, from what I've heard. Could my mind be changed on that? Potentially. I'll have to see where this goes. But wouldn't you want to see a child reunited with his family? Like, isn't that what you would want? Her initial reaction was like, almost like she was dreading Sean coming because we're some type of barrier, or we're going to stand in her way of something. I'm not a fan of this interaction so far. I also still cannot get my mind around the fact that this reverend teaches people that she cannot sin. Like, I can't get my mind around it. Like, regardless, I'm not arguing religion or debating religion or anything like that. Like, even if we put religion aside for a moment, even if she is like teaching religion to people, which at this point I don't even know, right? When we're talking about some belief systems kind of a thing, isn't the whole point of a great deal of religious belief systems this idea that like man is mortal and mortals sin? So to teach people then that you don't sin feels blasphemous. I don't get that. I still can't wrap my head around that.
He came back! I knew it!
Came back? Came back? I'm sorry. What did they tell you, Daniel? What did they tell you happened? Did they tell you that we left? That we abandoned you? Is that why you are complacent? There's a lot to unpack here.
You've grown up, Enano.
Do I look older? What? What happened to your eye?
Don't worry. It's okay.
Did that happen at the farm? Because of me? I'm so sorry. I'm sorry.
Daniel's gonna blame himself for that. Oh. I kind of don't want to say that it was his fault. Or that it was because of the farm. Like, yes, that is what happened. I don't want a kid to blame himself, though. Because even if that is when it happened, how could he have known that that would have been the consequence for his actions, kind of a thing? And to have that, like, that is so easily traumatic. To blame ourselves for something like that, especially because we didn't know that that's what would happen. And this is such a fine line to walk, because there's that part of me that's like, well, when you can so easily cause damage, like it may be beneficial to know that, which is really hard to when it comes to mental health, it's really hard to know, like, what this is. This is like a weird hypothetical thing to talk about when it comes to like the mental health of this, because thankfully, we don't have kids who have powers like this, where we're trying to figure out logistically, like, how do we teach you that there are consequences for your actions without fucking traumatizing you with it, right? In a gentle, guided way. Luckily, that is not a thing that we're faced with as a society. So yes, there is a benefit to learning that our actions have consequences, but not in a way that traumatizes the kid. Like, that's the fine line that I would like to walk. Is the game gonna give me those options? I don't fucking know. Who knows? I guess I look at this as, I have just worked with so many people where they interpreted situations as though it was their fault, and they carried that into their adult lives. And I don't want to cause that if I can help it. That's how I look at this. Not your fault.
Forget it. It wasn't your fault. I should have... It's okay.
Does it hurt?
No. Not as much as your haircut.
Shut up. It's different. I kind of like it. Sean, I didn't want to leave you there. Nothing I could do. I was so scared. I even thought you were dead. And...
It's okay. We're together now.
yes. So, are you gonna stay with us now? Huh?
We still need to go to Puerto Lobos.
But... we don't need to.
I like how this entire time, like we're having a reunion, right? Like, we're having a conversation. This is not a private conversation. We have this reverend who's sitting there in silence, just observing. And then the kid, right? Like, the kid doesn't bother me, because, like, what's the kid gonna do? Right? Like, I feel like that's almost more like, I'm gonna bring you guys together, and now I don't know if I should leave. I don't know if like, that feels almost like a social awkwardness type of a thing, because that just happens with kids. But like, the reverend is just there observing. I also like how Daniel's only real thought is, will you join us? Like, it's not a thought that he will leave this religious community to go with his brother. Why? Is it because he gets treated special and he likes that? Is it just that he doesn't like recognize that he can leave?
We have a new home now.
Ah.
Look.
One step at a time, Daniel. Give Sean a chance to process this. I'm sure this is all...
I don't like her body language. I don't like a lot about this person. This person reminds me a lot of the agent, where there's those feelings of like manipulation and how they purposefully position themselves to like get what they want and like that kind of stuff. And I will own that I do not like them. How I would talk about them might be different if I liked them. That's really what I'm owning. But like, we don't go up to kids that we have not built a relationship with. We don't go up to strange kids and immediately have that type of body language where we put an arm on their shoulder and the other arm on their arm. Like, and not only that, she does that to pull him away from his brother. It feels very like, he's with me. Like, that's how it kind of feels. It also feels like she's trying to position herself in a very maternal way, where it's like, let us give your brother time to process things. Like, she says that in a very like, let us, again, like the us type language feels very much like she is trying to position herself as though they're on a team type of a thing, but also like she is in a parental authoritative type role, as though she's teaching him things. The thing that makes me very defensive against all of this is the fact that, I mean, We all know that historically, religious figures have not done great things to kids. But also the type of like fundamental religious type beliefs that we've heard so far doesn't bode well for all of this. There's so much shame, blame, and guilt with that. There's a lot of in-crowd versus out-crowd. All of that makes me not defensive, but defensive in the sense that like I want to get Daniel and get out. I don't want him to feel as though he has obligations to people. I'm reluctant to use the word cult, but I don't want it to, God, I hope it's not a cult. Oh, but like I don't want him to get that sense of obligation, and like shame, blame, and guilt. I don't want him to like pick up on unhealthy behaviors that kind of can come with a fundamental religious perspective. And I do want to put out there, and I've said this before, and I'll probably say it again, that when I say fundamental religious groups, I'm not talking about the type of religion that comes up in for most people. I'm also not having this conversation about like, is religion true or not? I'm more talking about the impact that fundamental religious beliefs can have on our mental health, as far as especially the level of shame, blame, and guilt that can come from that. There's also a huge amount of control that often comes from that too. So all of these things make me very defensive. There's other things she said that have made me concerned about what she's told our brother. Things like came back. Things like how he thinks the only option is to stay. Like that's the only thing that pops into his mind. And the fact that children have less ability to, because children are so young, their brains just haven't had a chance to develop as much. They are more susceptible to things like potentially manipulation or control or shame, blame, and guilt. All of these things. They just don't have as much ability to cope. And they have a harder time thinking about vague constructs that adults are inevitably, not inevitably, but adults have an easier time handling. And so he is more vulnerable to all of these things. And I don't want him to be a chip in someone's play if that is what's happening.
So overwhelming. By the way, my name is Lisbeth Fisher. We all prayed for your safe return. Sean, you must be a believer now in our Lord, too.
Ooh. This is one of those choices, or if I say kind of, just so they won't hate me. Will the game think I'm serious? Because obviously, based on everything else that I've said, I'm not like, we're not talking about my personal religion, but like I would not see all of this as like a sign from God. I would see it as my former friend left me a note in my journal to come to his town. And religion has just inherently been a complicated issue with people for a long ass fucking time. That's not a technical number of years. We'll roll with it. And I think that to a certain point, we all kind of grow up knowing that religion is almost a touchy subject. Oftentimes we go into conversations knowing that if we're talking about religion, we're not going to change someone's mind about religion. We're not going to convert people with religion. And we don't go about oftentimes attacking someone's religion or trying to do those kinds of things, because that's how we lose friends. Like that's right. And so religion is so touchy in that way, because it is an inherent belief about what someone believes is literally true, but people believe different things. And so this is how we have to sit there and figure out, how do we go about having these conversations with people when we literally view the world in different fucking ways when it comes to this stuff. And I think that we come to this conclusion somehow that there are probably some parts of this that we just don't talk about. There are some parts of this that we tiptoe around, there are some people in our lives that we know agree with us, and those are the ones that we get into deeper conversations about, you know, either our beliefs about religion or the things we don't believe about religion, those kinds of things. Because religion is just so touchy, and we just know that. You know, religion, politics is the same way, let's face it, it is. And so if something like this were to happen, I find it interesting to immediately just ask someone, well, you must believe in God now, because that feels like we're just opening up a fucking can of worms with how you're asking that question. Oh, not really.
Well, not really. No.
So Daniel was wrong?
With what? You know, maybe this entire episode will be me just reacting to little things that this woman says, because her reaction right there, she's not accepting. She's not basically saying like, oh, hey, I respect that you don't have the same religious beliefs as me. Because that is not Daniel's. Sorry, Daniel. That is Sean's decision in life. Everybody out there in the world, regardless of age, and I feel like that gets touchy for some people, has the right to choose what they want to believe in life about religion. Kids have the right to choose that too. Sometimes adults are kind of like, well, they're not old enough to like fully know if they can make that choice or not. But if you force your beliefs on them, that's not going to go well. Let's face it, it's not. Sean has the right to choose what belief system he wants to have in his life. He does. But the way this reverend, and let's face it too, this reverend has to have had pushback. Inherently, as a fucking religious leader, you have to have had people who've had pushback against you. Like, I feel like that would have to come with the job. But her response was to blame Daniel. Like, that's what gets me. You blame a child for a different person's choice to not believe in your particular brand of religion. Because that's the other thing too, and we're talking about religion, there's so many different flavors of religion that fall under the same umbrella. Like, there's so many different ways that religion, not necessarily spirituality even, like religion is expressed, is shown up, because we're talking about organized religion here. So the fact that he does not believe this either at all, or your particular brand of religion, is not bad. He is not flawed as a person. But you hear that, you are disappointed with that and frustrated about that, and you blame his brother. You say his brother was wrong. Like that's what you're doing. You're blaming his brother. And this is sometimes the way that like shame, blame, and guilt can come up with stuff like this, is because I could see it being easy for Daniel to be ashamed about whatever it is that their conversation was about earlier, where maybe he reassured her that his brother would like join the church or live with them or believe their beliefs, because suddenly it's like, oh, I was wrong. Like, these are easy beliefs to come up when it comes to like the shame, blame, and guilt of this stuff. So much of this I could be reading too far into this, but this is also a person, this reverend, realistically, she's known these kids for like, what, 3 months? This is a lot to like blame someone like this in general, but like also, again, like, you're not their parent, you're not an authority figure. They've come into your life relatively short period of time.
You can be honest here, Sean. But first, I
What?
need Sarah Lee and Daniel to grab the medicine kit. We have to take care of our new guest.
Does that mean that she thinks that he's lying? You can be honest here.
This is a place of healing.
Aw. Let's do it later. I want to talk to him now.
Daniel? Now.
Okay, Reverend Mother.
Let's go, Daniel.
Whoa. Hold on.
I feel like she wants to talk to Sean
Oh,
privately.
It's a pleasure to meet you. This is a real blessing today. You were away from Daniel for quite a while.
I was in a coma.
Of course. I wasn't judging you.
Really? Really? Show of hands for who thought that was some judgment. I'm holding a controller. Otherwise, I would have both of my hands up.
So what is your plan, Sean? This is a blessed family, and it would be good for Daniel to have you by his side.
I feel like if the Reverend wants to be more supportive, because like right now she feels like she's guiding him. Again, this feels a lot like that agent, where it's like black or white thinking, trying to guide him to the right direction, where it's almost like, hey, here's all these good things about this one choice. And then it feels like that's the only choice we have, or why would we not choose that choice, right? And then we also have a hard time seeing there are other possibilities, or that maybe other choices also have good choices, right? It's not fair to phrase choices that way. And that's the part, like, there are these little things that really feel similar between these two characters. But I feel like if this character really wanted to be like entirely supportive, maybe it would be something like, hey, like, what is it that you would like to do without all of this extra like pros and cons that's obviously biased, and then have it be something more where it's like, how can we support you with that, instead of having it be like, hey, we got a real good thing here. You know, something where it's like, oh, you want to go to Puerto Lobos? Obviously, that's what he fucking wants to do. He already said it. Then it can be more like, how can we support you with that, right? Can we pack you fucking sandwiches? Can we, buy you a bus ticket? Like that kind of stuff. That makes more sense to me, to be like more supportive without trying to like corral him into a very specific choice that it seems like she wants. Because let's face it, she benefits from Daniel staying there. She does not want Daniel to leave, because then she loses her miracle. So she is benefiting from this in a great deal of ways. So that's where the manipulation comes from. She's very motivated to keep Daniel there.
You should know that the Lord has big plans for him.
In Puerto Lobos? Stay here for a while, Mexico with Daniel, God or you? Oh, fuck! We can just call her on her shit. How much do I want to do that? Oh, I mean, I do. I really do. I feel like there will be consequences for that, though. Especially because, like, Daniel doesn't know that. Daniel, as far as I can tell, doesn't see how manipulative she's being. Oh, but I'm gonna do it. Oh, it'll be so satisfying.
God or you?
God, of course.
Right, because she's not gonna admit that. Not openly. Oh my god. I love that. Sean has some snippy comments about this. I'm his family. This isn't his home. I don't think I like the I'm his family comment as much, because I feel like then it would be easy to say, oh, okay, well, if you're his family, then stay here. Right? Like, or even to be like, oh, of course you're his family. That's why you should stay here. Or that's why we want you to stay here. Right? Then that just encourages her to say that he should stay. Versus this isn't his home. That's our goal. That's our goal, is to get Daniel away.
Where I'm taking him. In Mexico.
That sounds very selfish.
So her argument is, I imagine, you're selfish for taking your brother away from all these other people who could benefit from his gift. He's not fucking healing people. Like, he's just levitating across. It feels very pot and kettle to make that argument, because really, who's benefiting from showing off levitation? Really?
He has all he needs, right here.
Sounds more selfish to try and keep your main attraction.
Judge not, lest ye be judged. Daniel will be staying here, whether you like it or not.
Wow. That's an open fucking threat. So she's not hiding behind a guise anymore. She's not pretending. She's not even trying to be manipulative. She's basically, she's talking like an authority figure in some way, shape, or form, whether it be a parent or a cop or something, where they're like, this will be happening. Or what? Seriously, or what? You can kick me out of your church. Sure. You can't call the cops, though. Let's face it. If you call the cops, they're gonna get Daniel, too. So you can't call the cops. So what are you gonna do? How are you gonna... threats like this have to have some type of follow through, otherwise they're empty. So how are you gonna back up your threats?
Daniel sounds more like a prisoner than a guest.
It saddens me that you see things that way. After everything I've done for him. I know why you're scared, Sean.
Don't touch him.
Because your heart's full of sins. I know about that poor man you beat down back in Washington, Sean.
So she just refuses to acknowledge the hypocrisy. And Sean points it out, and then she just says that it's justified for her. Because she's justified, that makes it okay. Like, there's always a reason why what she does is okay, and why what other people do isn't okay. Or there's a Bible verse for it. Very, very hand-picked Bible verses that always justify her actions. And the same fucking Bible verses could be applied to Sean. The same fucking arguments could be applied to Sean, but her argument is that it only works for her. And she just refuses to listen. Refusing. Digs her heels in. It is so frustrating. It's very like holier than thou type argument. And she's always like, well, you're full of sin. So many religious perspectives have this belief that, like, I don't know, sin can be forgiven. But she's holding it against Sean because that benefits her argument. And this is where a lot of that, like, fundamental religious belief systems have that shame, blame, and guilt, right? She's using that shame, blame, and guilt for her advantage, for her manipulation. She also has no fucking clue what happened in Seattle. She doesn't know that it was actually not us who did shit with a police officer. Not really. She's still using it to her advantage. But she's not admitting the hypocrisy. She's not admitting her ignorance. She's not admitting that she's just picking and choosing whatever verse or phrase justifies her actions. She's so frustrating as a character.
This is a terrible sin, and until you make penance for it, I can't accept you here.
Weren't you just begging for us to be here?
What? Are you serious?
I'm sorry, my son.
I'm not your son. And Daniel isn't gonna be your golden cow. Daniel?
You know, I was thinking of that golden cow analogy. You know, this idea of like making an idol and worshiping it, right? It's very biblical. Only I don't think of like the like golden idol being Daniel. I think of it being her, because she's the one who tells people she literally does not sin. Isn't that putting yourself at like the level of God? And aren't you like not supposed to do that, right? Like, and all of this entirely depends on like your own religious belief system. But like, if she believes that, shouldn't she not be doing that?
Come on!
Why don't we ask him what he wants to do?
Do not touch me! What the fuck?
Oh no. That was a mistake. Because now she has the ability to play the victim card. Now she has the ability to say, your brother pushed me, and that's why he should not be allowed.
What did you do?
Nothing.
Enough. You spilled blood in the Lord's holy.
Sean, what happened?
Your brother came in here, impure and acting like a criminal. But he can be saved, Daniel.
I'm sorry, Sean. She's right. I will pray for you. Then, when you're ready, we can.
She's trying to manipulate you.
Let me lead you to the one true light that never goes out. I want to be your friend.
You're crazy. Let's get out of here, Daniel.
I want to stay. Just go.
There's your answer, Sean.
We're together again.
She's so satisfied. She got what she wanted through manipulation. And manipulation isn't always, like, manipulation always has that bad feeling. Manipulation is just the idea that this is how we get our needs met. So I would not be surprised if sometime in this woman's life, she learned that if she told people different stories, if she, you know, like telling one parent one story and telling the other parent a different story, or, you know, playing up injuries, that was how she got attention, or maybe the only way that she got attention, or things like that. Oftentimes it's how manipulation starts. It's like, that's how we get our needs met as a kid, and it continues on into adulthood. And manipulation as a kid inherently looks different as manipulation as an adult too. But this is manipulation. She did that stuff. She told these different stories. She ignored hypocrisy. She was not open to listening to input, pointing out the hypocrisy. She played up this injury to get what she wanted. And then she does that to the congregation. But she got what she wanted. She painted us as this bad guy who's so full of sin, who's like this criminal. And the hard part about that is why Daniel believed it. Because Daniel, yes, has spent time with this person who had months to plant these seeds within Daniel. But Daniel has known us for longer. Daniel was with us when all of that stuff happened. Maybe Daniel believes it because we've protected him from knowing that this stuff was his doing. So maybe he honestly thinks that we are the ones who beat up the policeman in Seattle. And he just like doesn't realize that we were protecting him. This is the kind of stuff though, where when this happens in our actual lives, and we have parents who protect us from knowing this kind of stuff, a lot of times we end up finding out as an adult, and it's different to find out as an adult than as a kid.
And so we can go, right?
Come on.
What's his role in... What the fuck is his role in this? And why does he immediately jump to a fucking chokehold? Like, don't get me wrong, the Reverend was like, it was a fucking nosebleed. Seriously, of all things, a nosebleed. It's not as though we punched her or anything like that. And she wasn't even accusing us of punching her, to be fair. She just said, we brought our criminal sin into the house of the Lord. Like, very vague statements that will lead people's imaginations to come to their own conclusions. And that's where like the danger basically of that is. He comes in and fucking assaults us. Very like militaristic. That's how he also stands by in the background. Very militaristic. The fuck is going on in this godforsaken town? That's, I didn't mean that in like a pun way, but whatever.
Daniel!
Nobody sticks up for you. Like, nobody sits there and says, let him go. Like, nobody sits there and says, this is actually worse than whatever may have happened to make your nose bleed.
Let me go, asshole! Daniel! They're not your family!
Stop it.
You just need to have faith. We'll be waiting.
Daniel!
It's okay,
Sean.
Sean.
Daniel!
Very Far Cry. What an asshole.
Satisfied? Now don't you ever come back.
No. No. The Reverend said I could come back when I had faith. Oh, shit. What choice are you gonna give me? Also, where are we gonna live? Let's say we like wait around to talk to our brother. Oh my god. I hate this chapter. I hate it so fucking much. It feels like they're asking, like, do you want to be submissive and do nothing? Or, like, admit defeat and do nothing? Or get up and be defiant? I guess my only fear with getting up is if we're going to be kicked or something like that. But we've already had a great deal of bodily injuries. But, like, we're not just going to give up on our brother. Oh, shit, let's get up. Also, fuck all of you.
Kid, don't make me do this. You're not.
No! I cannot explain how angry this chapter already makes me. I am not making you do anything. By saying that I am making you do it, you are absolving yourself of guilt. You're basically saying, well, I didn't do it. You made me do it. That's not what is happening. I am not grabbing you and forcing your hand to hit me. That is not what is happening. The character are making a very conscious choice to do this. This is one of those things where it's like, let's at least take accountability for our own actions.
Gonna win.
I'm not trying to win.
Daniel! Daniel!
If we really wanted to, like, throw a verbal punch, we could maybe point out that it's not exactly polite or kind to be the one to kick a child who is you know, missing an eye. Maybe it's not polite. You know, our society often has a big focus on, like, manhood and, like, what's manly or not manly, to the point where, like, people get offended if you say that something isn't, like, manly enough. And that's, like, a whole toxic masculinity conversation type thing. But if it would piss this character off to say, like, oh, that wasn't very manly, I would probably go with it.
You're pissing me off. This
Oh.
is private property. I have a legal right to stop any intruders.
I'm not an intruder.
I just...
This is what? America, 2016. Should I really be surprised that we have a combination of fundamental religion and guns? Probably not. Also, I don't think you actually have the right to shoot someone if you coax them onto your property first. Or, I don't know, are keeping their brother on your property. I don't think that's how that works. I say is not a lawyer.
want my brother.
But he doesn't want you.
That's
He
not
was
true.
brought here, and this is where he's staying. Next time, I will not hesitate to use this. Now get out of here.
I am honestly shocked there wasn't one already in the chamber.
Daniel, hey!
To walk backwards the way he does, with it still in his hand, is trying to have such bravado and, like, such a show of power, being like, look, I still have my gun. If your gate is really so effective, why do you need to keep showing it off? Or why did you have to show it off in the first place?
Daniel.
Sean?
Is that our mother?
Karen? You won't get him back like this. Let's go.
How on earth, timing-wise, did you just fucking show up at this one place on Earth, at this one time on Earth, and you knew he was there? You got explaining. Are you also sinful in their eyes? if you are, I like you
Sean,
already.
what happened to your eye?
Sin. Why not embrace it, right? Like, if they've decided they've already hated me for this stupid arbitrary reason that doesn't even make sense, they're not gonna change their mind, just like 95% of the other people in these other chapters. So like, shit, why not embrace it?
Why the hell are you here?
Or that. We could go with that too.
How did you find me?
Well,
Magic.
I got a letter
Your lips.
from Jacob. He said you were missing. And that Daniel needed help. I believed him.
So you...
If Jacob knew that Daniel needed help. Like, if he... Religious trauma is very complicated, and I do not mean to, like, blame Jacob for this, because Jacob is also a victim. But, like, did he know that this could have happened? And if so, why bring Daniel there? Or did he send the letter, like, after the fact? Because he doesn't know how to get Daniel to leave. Or he's not there anymore.
Finally decided to check on him.
You know, Sean, sooner or later, we're gonna have to talk.
Where are we even going?
I already have a hotel room. You're gonna need to rest. And clean that dressing.
I was not expecting this. This chapter or episode is gonna be full of awkwardness and conflict and religion. Oh my gosh, I don't want to see this. I've already seen boobs. I just want to know when it's done. Okay. Damn! I got you a lot of bruises. You're gonna be feeling those, especially the ones on your ribs for a while. New clothes. It's been a while since we've had new clothes.
Man. Didn't clean the pain away, but... that felt good.
What does that mean? Clean the paint away. So that is a pretty big shower. That's a nice shower. Tile and everything. Usually it's that, like, fiberglass stuff. Damn. Karen's stuff.
Damn. You look bad.
Pretty sunburnt.
Gotta change that dressing soon.
4 times a day. Do you want to make a smiley face in the mirror? No? Okay.
Karen seems to be on the move quite often.
Oh, man. Can you imagine your grandparents if they found out that she found us? Your daughter that you hate, I guess, or resent for her choices. And your grandkid who, you know, is on the run from the cops. This is...
Wonder
I
how
don't-
long Karen has been here. Did she see one of Daniel's... miracles?
I don't think I've been in a hotel room that has that type of a shower, but also like a fridge microwave combo. Not that they don't exist, I've just never been in a hotel with that.
This country's just way too big.
It is very big. I'm gonna snoop in your stuff, Karen.
I know I shouldn't peek, but...
Karen.
Whatever.
I got some condoms.
Glad to know she learned the lesson.
Fuck!
Karen did her own road trip to get here.
What's this say? I mean, I don't care about the food. Turned forward to look back, making the same choice twice. My solitude days and dreamy nights, just to find myself looking forward to turn back. I feel like this entire chapter is Sean just spitting fire at everybody. Sean is just pissed. Notebook, is this his diary?
Damn. Karen does like to capture the world around her.
I think it's a diary. Yeah, the poetry. Tracing closer every mile, my heart goes racing sore. I remember, know the feeling. There's no fighting back that beating, tearing apart my core. Early morning blues, coffee, red-eyed truckers, and sad families. Bad eggs, not the waitress's fault. She is a quick, hurried one, probably ending a long night shift. Tag says Clementine, 22-ish, redhead, dyed brunette, eyebrows and skin tone don't lie, Irish descent, owner's daughter maybe. Mahoney's vague, polite smile, busy mind, mildly clumsy, looks distracted, anxious. Young cook called her Clemmy. Brother, boyfriend, apologizes when the orders are late, and she's the one who gets roasted. Do mom and dad know you're dating on the job, Clemmy? Mixing up work and love seldom makes a good match. What a brand new baby bump under the stained apron. It's 2017 and young folks are still busy making babies. I guess nothing ever really changes.
So Karen did check it out.
Yeah, I mean, why
I
not?
wonder if she saw Daniel in action.
Daniel wouldn't recognize her. No harm, no foul. That's how she would know that that's not how you're going to get him back. Also, her own experience with religious groups like that, I imagine. Oh, are you going to read the Bible right now? Tablet. Karen's note. I was like, there's nothing in here.
Sorry. I still have no game.
Is this
And
the
I always
casino with the spaghetti? It's a souvenir, so I guess it doesn't matter. Are we gonna read the Bible? No, I don't care about the drawer. Let me look at the Bible. Look at the Bible. Thank you.
win. Yeah. I bet every guest can't wait to read this.
I don't think it gets read very often.
Huh. This isn't her tablet.
Struggles with too many open tabs, but should be okay for basic browsing. Geolocate. Password is 112708. Hope you find your son. Huh. She has the camera covered up. I don't think that's something that you see very often on tablets. Maybe that's just me. 112708.
Yay. Technology.
God, when was the last time you went on a technological device? Not you, but like Sean. Welcome to your new life at the Universal Uprising Church, Haven Point. Oh, joy. Never go and make sense, blah, blah, blah. Haven Point Community. Haven Point, Nevada is a living oasis where individuals and families can live out their faith in a community dedicated to the teachings of Christ. So a community is entirely separated from the rest of the world. All who share our faith are welcome to join us to build a bridge to the Lord and his eternal estate. I don't think the point of living is to like escalate the process of going to the Lord. Hospitality. Yep, they're really good at that hospitality. And gratitude and forgiveness. So much so that being a criminal was enough to get us thrown out, right? when you have these religious fundamental groups that purposefully create communities that are entirely secluded from the rest of society, super extreme versions of in group and out of group, the word cult comes to mind. Of course, I'm no expert on cults and like what technically makes something a cult or not, but like that's what I think of. Because at that point, the people within your community cannot be influenced by their friends, by their family, by people who are like basically like trying to talk sense into them, kind of a thing. As pastor of our holy church, I've devoted my life and love to the teachings of the gospel and our Lord. I was blessed since childhood to be given this calling. Putting aside beliefs about religion, I will find myself wondering, did it benefit her as a child to say, I was blessed with like the Lord's gift or whatever? Like somehow did that get her special treatment? Or is she just saying that? Because who would fact check that? Who could fact check that? And it is my privilege to spread the word and preside over his loving, righteous community of Haven Point. So loving and righteous. With some handgun. I'm not an expert on guns. I look forward to meeting each and every one of you who seeks out our humble refuge. Right. Together we will begin the journey to a new life, guided by the Spirit, blah, blah, blah.
Reverend Mother doesn't look too humble.
Yeah. A slice of Haven Point by... Well, this is also written by someone else, which is important to note. One of the great discoveries of Nevada is how it balances the Holy Spirit with the holy dollar. Few tourists travel from around the world to seek religion here. But in the tight-knit Christian community of Haven Point, Nevada, a charismatic pastor has inspired a devout following. As she told me in an interview at her peaceful... Why do you have to add the word peaceful there? Church office, Reverend Lisbeth Fisher, has spent her whole life... Why do you have to... Anyways. As a humble disciple of the Lord... feeling the call to share his love and glory in this dark age. I had a powerful experience as a child that put me on the righteous path. So there is something in her childhood that happened. She smiles gently and touches my hand. This doesn't feel very journalistic. You know, I'm not an expert on journalism, but this doesn't feel very journalistic. But this is not about me or my story. Yes, it is. It's always about you. Or my story, as anybody in our wonderful church can tell you. They did, and they told me it's all about you. And tell me they did, exactly. The members of the Universal Uprising Church speak with hushed awe of their pastor and how she inspires them. So even then, she's like, it's not about me. It's almost like you say that so people will tell you how it's all about you, because it's exactly what people do. Reverend Fisher just wants to share her blessing with us. Says Corey Johnson, 34, a recent addition to the congregation. I was pretty cynical before I went to one of her revivals. You could feel the electricity when she spoke. People were crying, including me.
Looks like a roach motel.
But people don't...
Nobody will find me there.
That's what I meant. Beds are super uncomfortable, but it's cheap. Nice pool, but dusty as fuck. Nice roadside motel, cool stuff. I like how in the search bar, they like miscapitalize point. Jeez. Okay. Karen's note. Is there anything else to look at? Oh, there's a lot of other stuff to look at.
This place is quite remote.
That's probably the point.
Good. At least nobody will be looking for me here. At least Daniel's alive. But he seemed...
different
now.
Yeah.
Karen was always into low tech. I even think it's the one she had back then.
Yeah, but nobody's probably tracking her phone.
We've come a long, long way, buddy.
Is that his hoodie?
This thing is killing my back. I got bruises on my bruises.
I don't think there's anything new here, though. What does the note say? Don't look at my condoms. Too late.
Be right back.
BRB.
we'll find out.
Popped out for supplies. I'll grab some food in case you want to eat. New socks and shorts in the bathroom. All yours if they fit. Might be a good time to contact Jacob. His number is on the letter he sent. I think Jacob's religious trauma comes from this community. I think Jacob escaped, but the way he talked about this community tells me that maybe his family is here, something like that. And so him questioning this stuff or even just wondering made them defensive, like created huge barriers with family. And so even just maybe wondering or asking like fair questions, not even questioning things the way we did, caused rifts. And so he felt like he was forced to leave. And then when he saw Daniel, he maybe didn't even have time to process, like, what is this actually a miracle? Could there be another explanation for this? Like, he defaulted back to that trauma just because of the nature of the trauma. And then when he saw Daniel and there was nobody else there, he was still back in that like trauma type response and brought Daniel here. I think that's what is happening. I think Jacob is a victim in this, where the trauma response is taking over. But it's almost like he's arguing with that.
Jeez. It only took Supermom 8 years to give a shit.
Dear Mrs. Diaz, my name is Jacob and I worked with your sons, Sean and Daniel, on a farm in California. There were some problems and Sean went missing. I'm with Daniel now at Haven Point, Nevada. He is still there, at least at the time that he sent this letter. That's what I wonder about Jacob. Is he still there? How is his relationship with all of this? Currently, he gave me this P.O. box address. So if you get this, I think Daniel might be in danger. Because he's the only one reaching out for help to try to like almost get Daniel out is my impression. Yeah, he needs help to get out of here. I can tell you more if you contact me at this number. Please hurry. Thank you, Jacob. So I think Jacob realized that this wasn't the same. Almost like Daniel could have been a miracle in his mind. So he brought him back, but then he saw what was happening. And it was maybe more validation that this wasn't a great community. But by the time he had that realization, it was too late. I do think this is where I'm going to have to stop for this video. A lot has happened. And I realize most of it is me just like getting so incredibly upset over what is happening. Because there's so much just that I can't get over. Because we have this religious leader who has made it about her and isn't practicing like these things that she says that she practices, like forgiveness, and has a lot of hypocrisy and will not hear anybody say anything different. So it's very all about her. And meanwhile, our brother believes her and we can't get him away from her. This is causing a huge divide. Plus our mom is here. And a gun was pulled on us. Lovely. Just lovely things. So I would love to hear your thoughts on the video and the game, and I will see you next time.